And I always thought a barbershop quartet was 4 people, but apparently you can take some liberties when you're in the MGM Grand Garden. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you to everyone who has helped with the setup for today's meeting. Jared, Susan, Aris, Sarah, Bhavon, Kate, Bert. Thank you all. Lisa for being the scribe again. And to our paparazzi. Who is our paparazzi today? All right, thank you. Thank you for taking the photographs today. I'm sorry. Do we have any guests or visiting Rotarians today? Oh, Tony, you can't fool me. You're not a visiting Rotarian. All right.
Thank you. Hi. On Zoom, we have Christy White. She is, whoops, she was there a minute ago. She has pretty blonde hair. There she is. Hey, Christy. She is exploring membership with our club, and she is joining us today via Zoom.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be joining you.
And I also
Welcome.
have, going the other direction.
Here.
Hello. I have a difficult time with this. Excuse me. We have Barbara Castro, who is a potential transferring Rotarian from Illinois to here, and she's newly come here for 2 months. She's been here. She's joined her family. She has her mom and her sister. She has 2 children, and she's looking for membership and wanting to be active again in Rotary.
One more.
Actually, 2 more. We also have returning is Michelle Calby. She is pursuing her membership with our club. She too is a transferring Rotarian. Her application for membership will be coming before the board next week. And last, I think I'm almost done. Wait, let me just check this direction. Okay, and last we have our Boy Scout of America, Will Abbott, joining us again today. He's also a transferring Rotarian, and his application will also be presented to the board next week.
Thank you. And do we have one more guest over in the corner?
Good afternoon, President Richard and my fellow Rotarians. It's my pleasure to have with me Jeff Gordon from the Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation. And for all of you who are NASCAR geeks, he has driven his favorite car, Blacker. It's out in the parking lot. I'd also just like to share just a quick thought. This is my favorite time of year because in my subdivision, they planted a bunch of flowering trees. So when I come and go at this time of year, I see all the flowers. And I was reminded that when Jim Tucker is back, he hasn't been here since March. And it's just like springtime. He's got his vaccinations and he's coming back. And I think we're going to see more and more longtime Rotarians who have not been able to attend come back. And so spring is here, vaccines are here. I'm very happy about it.
Thank you, Jim. Any other guests or visiting Rotarians? And Mark, I see you're up on the screen. You're a guest today, but I think you'll be introduced later. Is that right?
I believe so. Thank you, though. I do appreciate it.
So can we have a big round of applause for all of our guests and visiting Rotarians? And did I see Kim come sneaking in? There we are. Kim, I understand you have some Paul Harris +7 awards to give out.
Fellow Rotarians, it's my honor and privilege today to recognize two of our members who have attained Paul Harris +7 status, which essentially means they're very loyal and generous supporters of all things Rotary. So without further ado, I would like to call Carolyn Sparks for +7. And Gary Voss, where are you? +7. Thank you, everyone. And remember, encourage everybody to become, if you haven't become a Paul Harris Fellow, please make a donation to Rotary International. Every gift that you make counts, especially now. In the past year with the pandemic, Rotary International expended a lot of funds to support our organization across the globe. And these funds made a big difference. So right now, we need all of you to consider upgrading your membership or becoming a Paul Harris member, because every penny that you invest in goes to our annual fund, which makes a big difference with Rotary International. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. And Aaron, I see you up on the screen. Maybe you can explain where that money goes once people donate to the Rotary Foundation.
Be happy to. When we make our contribution, it goes to Rotary, the Rotary Foundation, also known as TRF. And that those funds are put into a interest-bearing account for 3 years. After that 3 years, half of the money goes back to the district for their budget, and then the other half is kept in the World Fund. So when we do a matching grant with another Rotary Club, our funds are matched by the district and by TRF, which is the Rotary Foundation. And that's why last week, when I made the announcement about our grant for sensory rooms for the autistic children in the Ukraine, we were able to change our $10,000 grant into a $70,000 grant, because the other Rotary Club did the same. So members, it's very important that you continue your contributions to the Rotary Foundation, and I really appreciate every single dime that goes there. So thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Karen. And I know a lot of you are in finance. How many of you have been able to multiply your money 7 times over the last 3 years?
My husband's still trying to figure out how to do that for our finances.
And Marie, I see you up on the screen also. Do you have an update for us on Breakfast with Books?
So, okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, I have a few things to tell you about Breakfast with Books. The total, first of all, for February, students and families that were watching the videos was 673 families. So I thought that was outstanding for the month of February, really outstanding. And we're now distributing 3 books to the children instead of 2. Spread the Word is now giving us 3 books per child. And what happens is the students that are in school now, when they leave the lunchroom, that's when they get their books. And the other children are still getting their books outside when they go pick up their lunches. Beginning April the 5th, this is a real plus. Beginning April the 5th, Beckley will open their doors from pre-K to 5 5 days a week. So that is a real good thing. And this is in the discretion of the parents. If the parents choose to send the children to school, they can. And if they do not, then that's their prerogative. So I did want to give you that little update, but that's all that I have with Breakfast with Books. And we're going to, and another thing, people have been asking me whether or not we're going to have any Breakfast with Books at all this year, like little bit at a time, but that's not happening. Breakfast with Books will begin in-house in the fall if all goes well. And
Thank you,
that's it.
Marie. And Jim, past President Jim Cole. Instead of collecting money, I understand we're going to give away some money.
President Richard and my fellow Rotarians, it's again my pleasure to be in front of you with another donation on behalf of the Howard & Howard and the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation. Today, we have selected Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation, and Jeff Gordon has come up and he's going to say just a couple words to us. But first, I'd like to present him with a check from the foundation and Howard & Howard for $5,000.
Thank you. Boy, does this make a difference, particularly with this past year. We are so grateful to Jim and Howard for doing this. This has been an interesting year for all of us in so many ways. At the Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation, just very briefly, we offer over 45 programs and services to families whose children have been diagnosed with cancer, sickle cell, immune-related diseases, and all of those things. And this past year, we have had an all-time high in needs of mortgage payments and rent payments and power bills being paid. As I was telling Jim just a little bit earlier, we normally are working with parents that find themselves normally two-income families that when their child's diagnosed with a life-threatening illness like we deal with, it usually becomes a one-income producing family because of the caregiver that's needed. This year, they became, in many cases, zero income because of all the layoffs, everything that was happening due to where we've been. So this $5,000 is going to go so far for so many. And we appreciate everything, particularly listening to what the Rotary does, what you all do. You make a difference. Today makes a difference. And hearing what the books are going out and what's happening with that. Thank God for the Rotarians, because I know of the work you do. And Jim, thank you from the bottom of our heart for this donation and for all of you and continued great work that you all do, and that the Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation and the Caring Place. We also serve adults touched by cancer now. And so we would invite all of you to come by. I left some forms, a couple of sheets at the table when you go out. Just grab those and be a little bit more informed on who we are and what we do and the privilege it is to serve so many wonderful families. So again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so very much.
We're going to have a we're having so much fun giving away money. Dan Adamson, do you want to give away some money?
Hi, I'm Dan Adamson, president of the Las Vegas Rotary Foundation. That's the local foundation that you guys give to, so it's important to give. I wanted to shout out to Ted Weens, who gave $1,000 to the wheelchair, to the Rotary Foundation, specifically for the wheelchair project. And for those of you that don't know, Ted Weens, he was a member for 41 years, and he was a past president in 87, 88, and owned a auto repair chain, the Firestone chain here in Las Vegas. So, and he always had a joke, and I'm not going to tell a joke today. So, yes, absolutely. Is John Williams here? There he is. Come on up, John. John's the head of the wheelchair project.
And I see Jim Hunt is also on the screen. Maybe you can hand it to both of them.
All right, let's go over here. And where's Jim? Can we pan him?
We're at the wild party,
Yeah.
right? Thursday night. So we had our first 25 Club Mixer last Thursday right here at Lowry's. We had a good time, fun, mingling, getting to know each other. And we'll do it again next month. We'll just pick a different location. So thank you everyone for coming.
So, we've closed. I can't add anymore, but on the 24th, we're going to do virtual wine tasting. We're doing it with a company out of California called In Good Taste. They're going to send us a flight of those that signed up for 8 bottles, mini bottles of wine that come from specialty vineyards, things you wouldn't normally see or be able to get. I just got confirmation this morning that our wines are coming from California. And the flight of wine will allow 2 people to taste easily, and 3, well, you'll get a good taste, more than you'd get at a winery. So if anybody wants to double up, find out who signed up, you can call me. But I think it's going to be a good time. We're going to have a half hour before the 75-minute presentation and then a half hour after. So we'll have some social time as well. Thank you.
After we do this virtual wine tasting, if it goes well, can we have a virtual tequila tasting?
I'll look for that.
There we go. So we still have a few of Rotary offers opportunities pins. If you'd like, please see Sean. And let's see, for the raffle drawing for today, for the chance to pull the Joker, ticket 5311311. All right, President-elect Katie. Find the Joker. Oh, but you do double your money. And for the chance to win Lowry's Bucks, the ticket number, winning ticket is 5311403. All right. All right, Joan. And we've gone quite a few meetings without fining anybody. But as you can see in today's wheel, we have 3 members who are asking to be fined and actually sent in a picture of them skiing when they should have been at a Rotary meeting. And I have it on good authority from one of the 3 that the mountain they were skiing on was about 11,000 feet high. So I think I'll leave it up to the 3 people in that picture to figure out how to divide up that $11,000 fine. Oh, wait a minute, we have a rebuttal. He's there.
Can we unmute Stu?
Stu, can you unmute yourself? There you-
I am unmuted. Yes.
Hi, Stu. I would just like for you to confirm the fact that the 3 of us who were at Snowbird last weekend actually did pop in for a brief moment on the meeting, and you had us there, and we were live at lunch, and so we actually did attend the meeting. So I think this fine is completely unjustified.
Well, I would love to do that, but I just must have stepped away for a brief moment there. So I'm sorry, I can't swear to that.
Okay. That's great application of the 4-way test.
I do think President Richard should add a small percentage penalty on for trying to get out of the obligation, though.
Well, in order for it to count as a makeup meeting, they have to attend the meeting for at least 3/4 of the meeting. Marie, are you going to go and see your grandkids? You're on mute. You're muted.
Yeah, she's
Okay,
reaching down.
I've already booked my plane for July to go to see them.
Good.
I was I was afraid not to, for fear everyone was going to be booking a plane and then I would be without a seat. So that's what I did. And I'm all set. I'm going to leave June 26th, and then I'm going to see John. I'm going to be across the country. So from Boston, I'm going to go see John in Florida. So I don't know who's ringing me. I don't really care. Okay. I'm just going to hang up on them. That's all.
I muted her for a moment. Marie, you're back on mute if you want to talk again. You got to go back on mute, unmute.
Okay, I'm fine now. Okay, you people can talk. Tell the truth. I'm going to have a little lunch now where we have a break. Okay,
Bye, Marie.
I'll be back. Bye.
Yeah, it's funny. She mentioned something I didn't even think about, that as things kind of get back to normal, the airlines have cut back on so many flights, and the capacity is so low that it may surge faster than they can actually accommodate. That would be a nice thing, especially as it affects our economy here. If we really start, it's people are all worried about this second surge coming, and it's really hard to plan for, because you make some adjustment in what the CDC guidelines are. You don't really know what the impact is till about 4 weeks after the event. So we saw all that that spiking of infections and deaths that were, around the end of January as a result of people doing whatever they did during the December holidays. I think they said there's only about 3 million people who are vaccinated, but something like 20 or 30% of the people are immune because they've gotten over the disease. So we're still a long way away from killing the virus.
Jim Hunt, are you back? I guess not.
Yeah, I'm gonna just shut off the microphone in Lowry's because there's a little background noise. Okay. I think we're free to talk. So Christy, my wife and I spent a bunch of time living in Chicago, and we got addicted to Chicago hot dogs.
Oh,
And
that sounds good.
and when we make our drive from Las Vegas down into San Diego, it turns out that there is an outpost of the Portillo's hot dog chain. It's about Riverside area that.
Portillo's.
So
Huh. I'll have to look for it.
We've been talking about getting in the car, driving down there, going through the drive-through, picking up a hot dog, and then coming back. It would be a 4-hour ride each way.
Well, Mitch
Might
and
be
I
more
are Mitch and I are driving back on Saturday, so if you want us to pick you one up. So, what do you remember where in Riverside it is, or is it in?
Yeah, we didn't grow up in Chicago, but after living here now in Las Vegas, we discovered that apparently it is a major migration path for a lot of the people in Chicago, either when they retire or a second home or snowbirds.
Nice.
In the same way that the Northeast, they all migrate down to Florida. They seem to come from the Midwest here into Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we've noticed there's a lot of good Italian food. Pizza is really good in Las Vegas. So.
Well, it's amazing when you actually get off the strip, and certainly the hotels have got a great variety too. But you have such an incredible ethnic diversity of specialty restaurants, and not not kind of the mainstream that you like. There's a Bulgarian restaurant here that we stumbled into, which was just by accident. It was next to one of the diners, and just kind of amazing. And then my son is a big fan of Chinese food, and so he's familiar with the stuff that's outside of the usual northern and southern Chinese, Cantonese and Pekingese stuff. And there's a whole bunch of Chinese restaurants in Chinatown that represent like the northwest part of the country, where they don't eat any rice. It's mainly lamb and wheat based stuff, and into that, and then a whole bunch of other Asian, Vietnamese and Thai and so forth.
Well, that sounds good. We have been in the area about a year and a half, but then we were enjoying so much getting to know all these places until COVID hit. And then, it just all closed down. But we're halfway on our path to being fully vaccinated. So we're looking forward to rejoining society too, as you were talking about earlier. So.
Yeah, I don't know. A bunch of the restaurants here have been allowed to be open indoors for a limited capacity. I think I'm not sure what as of this moment, whether they're allowed to go more than 50%. But, because the weather's nice, both in San Diego and here, there's so many places with very comfortable outdoor patios, and that's keeping a lot of the restaurants alive.
Yeah, we do a lot of takeout, and then there are a few outdoor places here that we'll go to. But at the same time, we've gone this long without getting COVID. We don't want to lose it in the bottom of the ninth or whatever. So
I know. Well, the other thing is, my wife and I have, ever since this thing started, have now been picking up on cooking all sorts of things that we would have never made at home. We bought a bread machine. We bought a bread machine.
Yeah.
And it seems like after we made a mistake of ordering what we thought were 4 bananas, and we ended up getting 4 bunches, we made enough banana bread in the freezer to last us through the end of the year.
That's funny. Yeah, I was having a hard time finding yeast. I got into that bread baking thing too. And I bought it online, this big old thing of yeast, which will take me 20 lifetimes to use. Right. I put it in the freezer. So anyways.
Stu, maybe you could have that banana bread delivered to all the people that are doing the wine tasting, so we have something to snack on.
I signed up for the wine tasting, and I'm really excited about it. My only disappointment is that they didn't send out a little suggested pairing menu that go get like a sharp cheese for this one, and a salty pretzels for this wine, and something like that, so we could try and pair the stuff up.
The pairing is the Stu and Harriet banana bread.
Well, that I think banana bread. I've come to the realization banana bread goes with everything. So it's last week was the Jewish holiday of Purim, and the traditional pastry for that is something called a humantash. It's translates Haman's pockets. So you fold the pastry up into a little triangle, and then you stuff it with traditionally poppy seeds or plum jelly or apricot jelly or something like that. So we made up about 2 dozen of those and distributed them to the front desk here at the building, and we've been using that up until last week, and then I had to switch to banana bread. We used up all the humantash.
Sounds good. Yeah, we bought several boxes. We didn't make it ourselves, but I was eating it every day. It just really blew my diet for an entire week, but it's so good.
We had a funny story, actually. We have in the Boston area, we have a bagel bakery that's nearby to us, and I love their poppy seed bagels. And I went there with my son and my wife, and we picked some up, and we had breakfast on Sunday with the poppy seed bagels. And then my son took a job during the summer with Homeland Security down in as part of an internship he was involved with. The first thing they did on Monday when he went in is they gave him a drug test, and he failed the drug test. It turned out because of the eating the poppy seed bagels.
Really?
The-
I had no
the-
idea. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's enough of that. So like after 2 days explaining what was going on and realizing that there were still poppy seeds stuck in his teeth.
That's funny. So there's some ingredient in poppy
What do
seed.
the poppy seeds trigger on the drug test? What did they think? What
Well,
drug did they think he was taking?
So it's the base for opium, poppy seeds.
Those same poppy seeds?
Yeah, so there's enough trace of the chemical that
Interesting.
it'll trigger a positive test for opium. But it's all, I mean, that's just on a bagel. I can only imagine what it was like on the humatosh, because the filling for the humatosh is like pure poppy seed in like a sugar syrup. It's, you know, it's
Yeah.
not like a dusting. It's you know, completely full.
So how many poppy seed bagels do you need to eat to trigger the blood test?
Well, you know, I don't know. He consumed a fair amount of them on Sunday. So yeah, we have an amazing bagel bakery in Newton, Mass. That is popular enough that people travel all throughout the Boston area, and we're just a couple blocks away from it. So I really miss that. I haven't found them here. But the other thing we used to get, a local store would import the bagels from Montreal, and I don't know whether anybody who's listening now is familiar with the Montreal bagels, but they're very different from the New York bagels, and you cannot find them at all here in Las Vegas, even though there is a Montreal restaurant. It was in the Cosmopolitan, the Greek restaurant, and
Stu,
he
is
doesn't bring the.
is that bakery in Newton right up there with Mike's in the North End in Boston?
Well, it's let's say it's a Jewish bagel equivalent to
Okay.
Mike's Italian pastry.
Okay.
Mike's is still Mike's.
Mike's is pretty
still,
hard
yeah.
to beat. It's
Yeah,
that's
listen.
for, I mean, you know, for donuts and things like that. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had a bagel at Mike's, but I think I have. They were really good, but
Well, you can get a cannoli at Rosenfeld's Bagels in Newton, though. So
Yeah.
they do.
But it still won't be like Mike's. I'm sorry. Sorry. I grew up
The
there.
Rosenfeld Bagel Bakery in Newton, Mass.
Yes,
My cousin owns that place, actually.
you're kidding.
There you
Oh,
go. There you
Yeah,
go.
I had a bunch of relatives in East Boston and everything, and she's one of them still up there. Lived in Walpole, and she owns that joint out there. Great place, absolutely right.
It's just absolutely amazing, and you know, it's like a lot of the bakeries and stuff that you go into. They bake the stuff off premises and they bring it in, but you go in there and you can see the very front of the store is the retail part, and it goes back 4 times the distance, and the bagels are coming out when they take them out of the oven and throw them into the bin. You know, you pick them up, they're so hot you can't even hold it in your
Oh my
hand.
God, that's awesome. Awesome. Oh.
Sorry about that, but yeah, I was like, yeah, kind of funny. Small world.
Open a branch in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I wish they'd open up an outpost here. That would be really nice.
we need it. You know, I'm trying to think, there's a French bakery that I just went to that was pretty good though, on West Charleston. I can't.
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good.
run by a bunch of Algerians. I know what you mean. It's in the same plaza that has
Patisserie
nothing but
Mignon.
nothing but
Hi,
cakes.
Ginger.
Yeah, that's it,
Hi
Ginger.
there.
What'd you call it, Ginger?
Patisserie Mignon.
Yeah, I think that's it. Right behind Bonefish Grill.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that place.
I got, what did I get there? I got some quiche there a couple of weeks ago for a Sunday brunch, and it was delicious.
That's what we do. We buy quiche Lorraine and we buy the ratatouille quiche there, and then we'll bring home enough for dinner that night, and then put it in the freezer for dinner a couple days later. But
Excellent.
some of the sweet stuff they have there is really addictive.
Mm.
Yeah, our neighbor in Henderson, he was a pastry chef at Caesar's, and then he moved over there to this patisserie mignon. So I haven't been there yet, but now I'll have to go.
I'm gonna go off camera for a minute. I didn't miss anything while I was earlier, did they? You didn't call on me, I hope, or anything like that?
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
they tried to give you a check for $1,000. You're still muted.
I said, that's more like my luck.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They did a presentation of a check that came from Ted Wein for the Wheelchair
Oh,
Foundation.
isn't John there? John was supposed
And
to get that.
yeah, John was there, but they presented it to John and to you.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'll be back in just a bit. Thanks.
Okay, so let me just tell.
We're back on.
Yeah, we're back on. Somebody in Lowry's needs to unmute so we can hear you here on Zoom.
Now, now you can hear us.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
We're very fortunate today to have Barbara Sagafsky with us in person. And she's also asked Mark Velashan, who is her Deputy Secretary of State for Elections, who is with us on Zoom today. And he is a veteran, and I'm not sure what branch of service you were with.
I was in the Marine Corps for a quick 20 years.
Nice to have you with us today.
Nice to be here.
Barbara
Thank you.
Sagafsky has served in the legislature, in the Assembly, and in the State Senate for decades. She's been a voice of reason and a pillar of courage and integrity. And I can't even imagine the last year, what it's been like to be in her position. So we're very happy to have her here today with us in person, and I'm going to turn it over to her.
Well, good afternoon. I know it's afternoon because it's 1:05 and I think we were supposed to start at 1. Somebody told me over here. Huh? I can? I've had my 2 shots, but it's up to you guys. Okay. I've got Mark here because he knows everything about elections, but I wanted to start out and just tell you a little bit about what the Secretary of State's office is, because a lot of people don't know what we do. And we have 8 divisions in the Secretary of State's office. So elections is the one that mostly everybody knows. Nobody knows about the other 7, but they do know about that one, unless, like Tom said, unless you have to deal with silver flume. Anybody here having to deal with? Okay. So I'm sure we'll get questions on that. So silver flume is with commercial recordings. That's our business licensing. And that is very big. It's a very big division. And Kim Parande is my deputy over there, and she does an excellent job. We have a securities division where Erin Houston is an attorney, and she is the head of that. She's my deputy over the securities, and has 7 criminal investigators. And there's 7 that we use if we have election issues. And there's 7 that when we work with the other law enforcement agencies, and I'll get into that in just a minute, we utilize them as well. We also have domestic partnership online. Gail Anderson heads up my office in Las Vegas. And if you know, there's 2 Gail Andersons. Okay. Well, it's not the Republican Gail Anderson. It's the other Gail Anderson. And she's been a friend. I've known her for years. She does a great job with she's the deputy for the Las Vegas office. Then I have the elections, and that's what Mark takes care of. I think I said that. I'm trying to think which one I forgot. Oh, I know. The one that I don't know how I could forget this one is my operations deputy is Debbie. And Debbie has a incredible job because she has to work with the legislature and tell them what we need or don't need and how much money we have and don't have. And right now we're dealing with trying to save 7 positions from getting the hatchet, just so we can perform and do our job. So it's a critical year. This budget is unlike any other budget. So I feel sorry for Debbie, but she's great. She's doing a wonderful job as well. Scott Anderson is my chief, and he works all of the areas. He also helps with Silver Flume, works with those guys, and it's been a pleasure for me. I have 6 years and 2 months in, so I've got a year and 10 months left, or 3 months I've had in, right? Okay, I can count, honest. And I'm really excited because I love my team. I don't like what happened last year in 2020. That was not a fun year. Politics was not fun. It was not a fun year. I've never had so many lawsuits filed, including me, that I had nothing to do with, but they included me in every lawsuit. So they're all gone. All the lawsuits are gone, except I think we still have one, and that's about Jill Dickman. And there's an independent group that wants anybody that's run before to be able to say that they're running for reelection. But we do have a bill in the Senate side to change that. Just we agreed to, but all we could do was tell them what the law said at the time. You can change things, and that's what I did. That's what I did last year for this election. I made sure that I followed the law. Mark and I looked at it. We talked about everything that came in, and we followed the law. That's what my job is. I'm nonpartisan office, and we have to follow the law, and that's exactly what we did. Not everybody agreed with how the law was written, and I said, you have an opportunity to come and change it. I don't know how much luck you'll have with who's in charge, but it is a process that you can go through. We chose not to put any bills in this session, and the reason we chose not to was because we didn't think we'd get much heard, but we figured with the building closed that our best possibility was to give it to one of the legislators, let them run with it and work with it there, because it'd be much easier that way with the building closed. So that's what we've done. We mostly have cleanup language, and Mark can go into some of the bills that we're working with some of the legislators that are really good to work with. And so that's kind of what we're doing. I'm gonna have Mark introduce himself and just talk a little bit about this last election. And then we want to open it up for questions, because if you have questions, that's what we want to do, is be able to answer your questions. And that's where we have a great ebb and flow, because you know what's on your mind and what you're concerned about. And then we're hoping we can put you at ease. And if we don't know the answer, we'll get an answer for you. But I'd like to introduce Mark Volashin and see if he can talk a little bit about his duties and how the last election was. So thanks.
Thank you, Secretary Sagaski. Again, my name is Mark Volashin. I'm the Deputy Secretary of State for Elections. Thank you for having us here today. So to start with, again, as the Secretary mentioned, the 2020 general election, it was a fairly interesting time for all of us. In my role as Deputy for Elections, one of the main things that I do is coordinate with and work with the 17 county clerks, which includes the 2 registrars, Mr. Joe Gloria in Clark, and Ms. Deanna Spicula up in Washoe. Of note, again, I think it's important to state outright that, from the secretary on down to the clerks, I think collectively all of us took the responsibility that we have to the entirety of the state and all of the 1.8 million registered active voters here in Nevada to make sure that we were executing the law, right? Because that's the key point that the secretary just mentioned. At the end of the day, our job is to enforce Title 24 and to carry out the provisions in there to make sure that our elections are transparent, are timely, and are safe. So along those lines, while there was certainly some concerns about the conduct of the 2020 general that some folks had, again, at the end of the day, we were following the law and looking forward now into the new the legislative session that we're not quite 40 days into. It's been interesting to notice the ripple effects that have come out of that. For example, during this current legislative session, there are approximately 30 elections-related BDRs, or it's a bill draft request, essentially proposals to change the elections law. These cover everything from very minor adjustments to the elections law to some pretty sweeping changes. So this is something that, as we look at this at the legislative session, making sure that we're able to provide, again, timely understanding of fiscal impacts and what some of the second and third order effect changes could be when you look at the entirety of the law that's currently in place. Now, the Secretary mentioned that we are advocating for some cleanup language. Specific examples of what we're looking at there. When you hear about elections cleanup, we're talking about extremely small changes, but really just updating the law so that it reflects the reality today. An example of this one, there's a statute in NRS 293.540 that talks about there's a requirement for a clerk or registrar to cancel or voter registration whenever you change your party affiliation. Reality is it's possible to be done online now, right? So instead of canceling and then establishing a new voter registration every time an individual chooses to adjust their party affiliation, we're proposing, again, a minor tweak to that it allows, again, the process to happen without, again, conflicting necessarily with the statute. So very minor changes like that. But there are some pretty sweeping changes. This is something that, again, we keep a very close eye on, and we're prepared, knowing what we know after the last 12 to 18 months, so that when the session ends and we understand what legislation has been passed, to make sure that we get the word out so that, again, voters across the state are aware of these changes and how it's going to impact them. In addition to the legislative session here in the state, we also have, of course, some congressional elections related proposals that are underway right now. House Resolution 1, or HR 1, is another bill that would have a pretty significant amount of impact on how we conduct things here in Nevada. There are a lot of parts of this massive 790 plus page bill that we already do. For example, it talks about mandating automatic voter registration, things like that we already have and that are in place. But that's also another piece of legislation that we're really keeping a close eye on to make sure that, again, depending on what happens with it, we're able to, in a timely manner, get that information out to everybody so they can understand what's going to happen going forward. It might seem like the election just ended, but I will tell you that within hours of the last election, we started to think forward to 2022 and 2024 to make sure that again, the areas that maybe weren't clear to the public that we're identifying so we can get more information out. And then looking at our internal processes too, just to make sure that they're as refined as they can be, to make sure that as a division, we're providing the best possible service we can to every Nevadan. At this time, Secretary, that's really all I have for now, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you giving us an update. I really would like to open it up and see if there's questions that you have. And here we've got a great, brave first soul over here. Hi, Jim.
Oh, you gotta hold it.
He's afraid to run away
what's
with it.
happening in the future elections? Are we gonna go with all mail-in?
We don't know yet. We don't know what's going to happen. It depends on the legislation here in Nevada, and then it depends on what happens with the HR 1. Those are all bills that are coming forward, and I am not for a mail-in, total mail-in. I did it in the primary, only in the primary, because the 17 counties came to me, all wrote a letter requesting it. They'd gotten permission from their county commissioners who and I don't know if Mark went over this, but the 2 voter registrars are appointed by the county commissioners. The other 15 are all elected, but answer to the county commission. So I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what happens. So they all said to me, we don't have any places for anybody to go because nobody knows about the pandemic. They don't know about the virus. The other thing was they had no poll workers. They generally have seniors that would come and do the poll work. None of them wanted to come out because they didn't know what they could or couldn't contract or have happen to them. They didn't want to get sick. So we did it. I didn't want to, but in that I said, okay, I'm going to do this for the primary, but I don't want to do it for the general. Well, I was getting sued by the Democrat Party in Washington, D.C. And then the special session came and AB4 came about. So the lawsuit got dropped, but all of the information came on and everything was mailed. And that was only if there is supposedly something catastrophic that would happen. But then we found out about HR1. We found about some other things that are in the legislature that's supposed to be coming out. So I can't tell you the answer to that, but I believe that we have absentee and that you can request an absentee. You can request an absent ballot for the rest of your life. You can, on our website, you can do that. That's what we had proposed for this last one. But as you know, we didn't get that. So that's where we're at.
So COVID-19 basically gave the Democrats a lot of votes.
That I don't know. I don't know the difference. Mark might know the difference if there are more registered Democrats in our state than there are Republicans. Thank you.
Could I get a question in?
Oh, hi.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if you're if you're taking one from me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Stuart. Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you, Madam Secretary, for your long years of service. I am aware that before the special session of the legislature, you raised some concerns about unsolicited ballots and ballot harvesting. And then after the law was passed, you asked the governor to allow the identification of people who were bring in large numbers of ballots. In short, you had a number of concerns about the election. I don't understand the capabilities or limits of the authority, but knowing that you had these concerns about the election, did you have the discretion to not certify it? And would that have been the right thing to do, given that in your professional judgment, the election was flawed because of what the legislature did?
Okay, good questions. And Mark can back me up here if I say anything that I shouldn't say. I usually do. First of all, ballot harvesting, I think, I don't know how you can one day say it's a felon and the next day it's not. It didn't make any sense to me, but they changed that. Ballot harvesting is when you take people's ballots, as many as you want, and you drop them off, or you put them in the mailbox, or you bring them to the county, whatever that. And so I was opposed to them dropping it and told them I didn't think that was a good idea. And then I went to the governor, as you said, and said, I'd like to at least have the people that bring in many ballots, have them register, tell who they brought it in for, where they dropped it off. I'd like to have some of that information. I was denied that request. I don't have a lot of authority, which is sad, and I did not have the authority to say whether or not anything was certified. That's not mine. All I could do was conduct it. I did not do the certification. That is not in my privy. Mark, any other?
That's exactly right, Secretary. And the only other thing I might comment on is that role really falls on the Board of County Commissioners of each of the counties, the 17 counties. They're the ones that ultimately have the ability to put their thumbprint on that. And they did. Again, it was interesting that from what I saw anyway, my perspective was that there was never questions about what happened in each individual county, just maybe what happened elsewhere. That Nevadans were hearing, and it was raising some concerns and confusions. But again, the clerks, the registrars follow the law. The county commissioners recognize that and canvass the votes as they were required to do so.
I do have to say that the majority of rural citizens that we talked to said that their counties were good. So they didn't think there was a problem in their counties, and the county commissioners agreed, and that's why they certified them. And then the Supreme Court certifies them. And so that's the process. I have nothing to do with it. So other than I conduct it, put it together. Yeah, they gave me some very flattering jobs. Yes.
So Barbara, HR 1 would federalize across the country election rules, but it would also impact state elections, which the federal government doesn't have the authority to do. So would there be, do you think, from state attorney generals, which I'm guessing would be the authority to challenge? I don't think ours will, but is it possible for our legislature or state attorney generals to challenge HR 1 because it's not within our constitution that the federal government can mandate how a state holds its own individual elections?
The answer is yes to most of the questions that you asked, but the I know, but the biggest concern we have is the funding. You know, they're putting mandates on all of us and all of our states, and you have to apply for the money and you'd be lucky to get it. But I asked, we've been having conversations with the Republicans and the Democrats. And the Republicans tell us they've had nothing to do with it, so they can't answer any of our questions. The Democrats don't answer our questions. But I asked them, I said, what prompted HR 1? What was the reason and why did HR 1 come? Well, nobody answered that question, the whole group. So then I said, what about the funding? I'm really concerned about our state getting money for what you want to implement. We have a lot of the stuff that they have on there that is already, that we've already done, but there are things that they want us to do, and I can have Mark go over it. I don't have a copy of the bill here, but we've been on regular phone calls on a regular basis with what's called NAS, which is the National Association of Secretaries of States. And we're on 2 to 3 times a day. I mean, I was on a conference call coming over here, yelling at Tom. Hey, Tom, wait. But we're on calls all the time, and they're telling us about HR 1. They're telling us about any of the other restrictions, about some of the other bills. We're asking questions. I'm talking to Catherine Cortez Masto because it's, going to the Senate now. And Mark just sent a letter from us, telling her about the costs and letting her know that, and asking her, are you aware of this, and telling her what we do, but what we don't do, and can we get some help with this? So Mark, do you want to?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And again, thank you for the question. When HR 1 comes up, invariably, I get questions about different aspects of it and how it's going to impact Nevada and our elections. And there's, again, I mentioned it's about 790 pages, which, again, not an easy read by any stretch of the imagination. But really all I focus at is just what's going to impact Nevada, right? There's parts of this that will cause serious heartache for my counterparts in other states. They get to worry about that. I'm not worried about it at all. So for example, when I look over it and I saw that there are provisions about requiring automatic voter registration, same day registration, requiring voter verifiable paper ballots with all voting machines. We do that, easy, done. Requiring voting, early voting periods, 15 days as it currently is written. We have 14 days in the most recent. Talking about absent ballots and having no excuse requests for absent ballots. Discussions about multilingual requirements to make sure that voters can read what they're actually being asked to decide and to cast a ballot about. We do that. So there's a number of provisions in HR 1 that have caused a lot of heartache, again, in the national media, on social media, certainly, that quite frankly, aren't a big deal for us here in Nevada. There are parts, like the secretary said, that are concerning, and certainly when you think about where the state's at, after last year from a fiscal point of view, there are some deadlines in there that we continue to bring up as being concerning, simply because it's the concern is that if we're told to make something happen and we're given till January 1st of 2022, that's right around the corner. And if you've ever been involved in a large, complex project, perhaps something that involves integration between 17 counties and the state government, and maybe a number of federal agencies as well, you know that that's not going to be a cheap thing to do. And if you reduce the amount of time to do it, and to do it properly, it's going to be even more expensive. So those sorts of concerns are really the primary ones that the Secretary and I have been highlighting, because there are a number of due dates in there that are January 1st of 2022. Or again, by exception, they may allow an extension, but primarily those are the sorts of concerns that we have, because there are a number of modifications to those sorts of programs that we do have that would be fairly costly.
You guys ask good questions. Thank you. It helps.
Madam Secretary, I apologize if this doesn't necessarily fall under your purview, but I guess it's very obvious that a lot of cities and entities have been negatively affected by the pandemic, Las Vegas in particular, due to our heavy dependency on services. So come on the 15th of March, we go to 35% capacity. And then on May 1st, supposedly we are going to go to transition to local authority. Can you give us sort of a look through the telescope, if you will, and see what you kind of perceive is going to happen on the other side of May 1st?
Well, my feeling is the county commission is going to open up everything in Clark County. I just have talked to the chair and they're just biting at the bit, and to have control of it, all of the rural areas are going to open. I mean, they're just going to open up because they don't think there's a problem up there, and they're going to open. And I think they already have been. They just don't tell anybody. And then in Clark County, I think Marilyn Kirkpatrick, the chair right now, she wants everything open. So I think that's going to happen faster than anybody thinks. I think it'll start, especially with other states that are wide open and staying open. I think it's going to happen here. But giving it local control, it'll happen. Maybe Carson won't right away, but that'll be the only one. Just saying.
I'm probably in the minority in this room, but I would just like to say, I thought the mail-in ballots worked great. I mean, I would very happily filled out all 5 of mine and mailed them back. So thank you. But
I'm so proud of you for doing all 5
in
of
all
them.
seriousness, I just want to change the topic. I am a huge consumer of silver flume, and I cannot tell you how wonderful it is when people call from other states and ask about incorporating in here, and they say, how soon can you get it done? I'm like, maybe tomorrow. And they're like, tomorrow? And I'm like, well, maybe today. I mean, the incorporation that you're able to do online and the services pulling UCC ones, it's almost immediate. It's fantastic. Our consumers love it. And as a consumer of your web.
Well, thank you. Kim Parandi is the deputy over that, so we need to give her kudos. She really does a great job. She's wonderful. And just to not go without telling you that we do have issues because we've got a vendor that we're dealing with and trying to get the new program up and running. So bear with us if you have any issues. Don't forget, you can call me. Just call Richard. He knows my number. He walked away, so he got that one. But you can call if you have any issues, but she really does a great job. And I'm really proud of what they're all doing over in commercial recording. So yeah, I told them they could call you.
I'm sorry?
I told them they could call you to get a hold of me.
Okay. Fair enough. Maybe just one more question, but I think the other mic is there.
I'd like to know the absentee ballots and the mail-in ballots. There is a difference between those, and there's a difference in the timing of those. So me as a senior citizen, I would like to know, is it better to have the mail-ins or better to have the absentee? And what's the difference?
Well, 2020 election, and Mark can verify this, it was $1.40 something to mail each one out. And if you do list maintenance on a regular basis, it shouldn't be too bad. And I won't talk about Clark County, what happened. But we have a process where you can go online and you can get an absentee, you request it, and you go through, all the questions, and then you can say if you want it permanent, I want it permanently be on absentee. And then the mail-in ballots are just mailed out to everybody. And if there's anybody inactive, it gets mailed to them. The absentee is just sent to you because you requested it. And so that's the difference between the two. I prefer and really like the absentee. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to put in what they want to put in and ask for it. And I just think that's a better way for us to go. Mark, do you want to add anything?
No, ma'am, that's exactly it.
Yeah, I got it right. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Secretary of State Sagaski is much too modest to point this out, but when she began her tenure as the Secretary of State, in the Secretary of State's office in the State Capitol building, if any of you have been up there, they had inkwells, and they would have to go, the staff would have to go down to the river in the morning and pluck quills out of the passing geese to do the record keeping. And during her tenure, everything's been computerized and digitalized. So I think you deserve a giant round of applause.
Nobody's ever accused me of that. I love that.
So we don't give away trinkets to gather dust on yourself. We're going to make a donation in your name.
Oh, wonderful.
Share what you can award to the USO Community Service Program.
Oh, that's
Thank
fantastic.
you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. We'll see you next week. Meeting adjourned.
Bye, Zoomers. Have a great.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Mark.
Hi, everybody.